Good morning, everybody. Oh, one sec. One little sec. All right, let's put this over here. All right, do you hear my voice clearly enough, guys? I just want to make sure the mic is positioned correctly, not too far away. Everything's balanced. Just want to make sure everything is in sync here. I think the guitar might be a little bit too hot here. Let me just lower that up a little bit. Sometimes I change guitars last minute, and if a guitar is hotter than the other one I was playing with earlier, sometimes the signal becomes hotter when I'm playing it through a processor. Does that sound too loud, guys? Loud and clear, Jean-Pierre. Hey, you're up early, my friend. So I'm playing through a basement patch today, going through the NUX MG30. I'm switching back and forth between the NUX MG30 and the MG, the latest one, which is the MG400. Both really cool units, but it's all good, man. I like the sounds. I can't decide which one I like better, but they both sound pretty good. Also playing through this guitar today. This is an eArt guitar, humbuckers, 2 single coils. I'm really loving this brand right now. This is the 3rd guitar that I bought from them. There's this one. There's a Strat with 3 single coils, and I also have a Telecaster style guitar. I like the maple neck on this one. Feels great, and having the punch of the humbucker on this one definitely gives it more bite. I don't know if this is probably, I'm thinking it's not probably the original humbucker that came with the guitar, because I think these guitars have a tendency of using ceramic magnets, and this does not look like a humbucker with ceramic magnets. I bought this one used, so the person that I bought it from may have upgraded the humbucker. I'm not really sure, but it sounds good, so I'm keeping it in there. Nice and warm, you know? All right, so good morning, everybody. You guys warm my heart when I see you guys chatting before the show actually starts, going back and forth while you're waiting, asking questions and stuff. I love that. I love that. I love the participation. I love the group support that we're getting on this channel, and I applaud you for that, guys. This is the reason why I like to keep these Sunday shows going, because I know that you guys, you're building your own little community here on Addicted to Gear, which I think is fantastic. So bravo for that. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Addicted to Gear live Sunday show. We are live on Addicted to Gear every Sunday, or we try and be as much as we can. And the reason for that is because we all have gear addiction, and we're on this show to support one another, mainly product information, tips. People might have issues regarding what gear to purchase, or maybe gear that you already own, and you have questions about how to leverage it, how to maximize it, how to make it more useful. And this is where we actually share that information. So if you're looking for that kind of information, then the Sunday Addicted to Gear shows are the place to be. Now, apart from the Sunday shows, I do produce content for my YouTube channel where I review gear, talk about things, and show you new products and whatnot. This week, if you guys paid attention, I don't know if you guys thought it was interesting or not, but I reviewed a really cool guitar, the Next G, NEXG, I believe it's pronounced that way. The Chinese manufacturers always have very peculiar names that I cannot pronounce. You have to be very careful with the way you pronounce these things. But the guitar that I reviewed was a Bluetooth carbon fiber travel type guitar. Nothing similar. It was nothing similar that I haven't played any guitar like that in the past. It was unlike anything I've tried before. An interesting guitar for sure, not for everyone. Definitely not for, I would say, live performances. It's more for a practice guitar or a guitar that you would use when you're traveling. But nonetheless, very interesting. So I put that on this week. And if you guys are interested in checking that out, you can find that in my list of videos. And don't stop there, guys, because there's a lot more videos that I've produced over the years. There's hundreds at least. Interesting things, and also the backlog of all the live chats that we've done on the Sunday shows, which you could find interesting information there too. So feel free to dig around, don't be shy, and take a look. So good morning, everybody. Today is show 133, and I was so excited because I thought for sure we would break the we would break into the 26,000 subscriber mark, because we're so close. We're at 25,994 subscribers. So, it's just a matter of a few more subscribers to hit the 26,000 mark. And I would really love to do that today or perhaps this week at the latest. So if you guys are watching the live events and you're not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. That would make an excellent birthday gift. Yesterday was actually my birthday, guys. So October 15th. I was born on a Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, I celebrated my birthday yesterday, 53 years old. And got spoiled quite a bit with my family. Had a great time, went out for supper, got a few gifts, and it was a good time all around. So October is a definite one of my favorite months because there's my birthday in there, there's my daughter's birthday, my son's birthday, my late dad's birthday was in October. There's a lot of Libras in my family, my brother-in-laws, my nephews. There's a lot of people that are Libras in my family. And so we want to definitely celebrate October. Plus, October is Rocktober, and Halloween is around the corner, right? So there's a lot of cool things happening in October, and I'm happy to be here and share that all with you guys. So I want to say good morning to everyone that's already in the house, ready to go, and then we'll get straight to some questions. So I'll start from the bottom today and work my way backwards. So Gene Callie is here. Thank you for the belated birthday wish, Gene. Jeff is here as well. Thank you, Jeff. DMAC Monk, happy birthday. Thank you. Thank you, Monk. I appreciate that. Charles75N, Vox Guitars Rock. Mark is here. Gospel of Mark. Alan, Fat Philosopher. Hope you're doing well, Fat Philosopher. Glad to see you're back home. Presley, California Customs. Jeff Rock. Jeff has a question. So if I'm saying hi this morning and you have a question, I'm gonna try and answer your question. And Jeff says, trying to sort my guitar room out today, and it's official. I have too much gear. Well, almost, I suppose. Always room for a bit more. Jeff, sorry. I'm in the same situation. I'm hiding a lot of my room with my body here, so you don't see everything. But if I just move out of the way here, you'll see I got a table here, an operating table, I call it. I'll just give you a quick glance. There's a guitar on there, because yesterday I was doing some mods to the guitar, and my garage is a mess right now. There's a lot of stuff being stored in my garage at the moment, so I can't work on my usual bench, so I have to work down here on a portable table. And I figured yesterday, since I'm down here, and this is where I shoot most of my videos, I was working on a guitar, and I figured, what the hell, I might as well take that opportunity to actually videotape what I was doing for you guys, because I know a lot of you guys have been asking for my messy workbench type videos, and I haven't done one in a while. So I shot some video yesterday. I don't know if it's going to be good or not, because honestly, when you're dealing and trying to fix a guitar and videotape at the same time, it's extremely time consuming and extremely slow. And sometimes, you think you're able to show what you're doing, but it's kind of difficult to see everything because your hands are in the way. But I figured, worst comes to worst, I will explain the process, and somebody might get something of value out of it. So I'm thinking of working on that video and using that and putting it out there. Um, all right, let me continue where I was at. I'll talk about that, what I was doing to that guitar in a minute, if you guys are interested in hearing the story. Gene says it's winter. We have to keep Tony's heart warm. Indeed, you do. And Fat Philosopher says, are we paying too much a premium for vintage guitar makers are basically charging us extra for outdated technology? And I like how Fat Philosopher put in the 3 question marks. That's awesome. If you guys do that, that would be great, because then I would know exactly which, just at a glance, which ones are questions for me. And I'll answer that question, Fat Philosopher. It's a good point, right? Are we paying premium? I think we're definitely Okay, we're paying premium everywhere right now. I don't think there's even more recent stuff, more that's not vintage, is costing a fortune. The vintage stuff is still expensive. It's always been expensive, and it's going higher and higher as we speak. Outdated technology, look, it all depends what you're buying. If you're buying a vintage Martin guitar, an acoustic guitar, something like that, 1938 or something like that, in that era, those guitars are hard to find. And honestly, outdated, yeah, because they didn't have truss rods even in those days, the acoustic guitars, the Martins. So, if you either got a good one or you didn't, they've become better over the years, but they're still highly collectible, and they're just going to keep going up in value. So a lot of people are turning to vintage instruments as an investment, because honestly, if you keep your money in the bank these days, you're getting what, 3% at most, if you're lucky, and that keeps going up and down. So sometimes you're better off buying something that is going to keep going up. And vintage guitars are kind of like real estate; they always go up. If you get a good one. So yeah, for sure that there's guitars being made of carbon fiber today. We have double action truss rods. We have different types of technology built into guitars and whatnot. So I would say the construction of the guitars, the way the guitars are being fabricated, are more consistent. The quality control is much better, but there's still a huge market for vintage gear. And, I'd love to own some vintage gear purely from, well, as a guitar lover and also as an investment opportunity. I would, look for something, but I'm really not ready to drop, over 10 grand on a guitar unless it is an investment where I know it's going to keep going up, and it's got to be kind of a pristine example of a vintage guitar. So I hope that answers your question. D-Mac says, did you ever find downgrading actually being an upgrade? It's a great question. I have a HX Stomp and like it, but I think the less expensive Nuix M30 MG or MG30 is more intuitive and my style, and I use it a lot more. So DMAC, I actually tried the HX Stomp. I actually tried that before I actually bought some other multi-effects units that I have here. And like you, I felt that the Stomp didn't have my style of sounds in there, so I wasn't drawn to it as much as the other ones, and I ended up selecting something else. So yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean just because something's more expensive it's necessarily better for you. You have to find something that fits the way you're playing and your needs. And honestly, for me, the MG30 is a great unit for playing even in live situations, and the new MG400 is excellent for both live, but a little bit, I call it like the light version because it doesn't have as many functions on it, but it's great for live. I've used it for rehearsals, and I use it here in the studio also for playing lives, just recording stuff, and it works well for me. So yeah, I'm not one that needs to have like super expensive stuff to be happy. I mean, look at this. I'm playing this guitar right now, and it's one of the more affordable guitars in my collection, if not one of the cheaper or cheapest ones, and I love it. I play it all the time. So, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go crazy. Rich says, I'm old, vintage, and no one wants to pay a premium for me. You'll find somebody eventually, I'm sure, Rich. Don't worry about it. And if you guys are not happy with your vintage stuff, and you feel like, send it over to me. I'll take care of it. I'll make sure I can dispose of it properly, all right? Don't worry. Randy says, happy birthday, Tony, 53. Yes, indeed, 53. I have open wounds on my body, older than you. You're just a baby. My birth date is older than you, 1954. Enjoy, my brother. Peace. Randy, it's just a number. It's all up here, As John Lennon used to say, it's all in the mind, right? So don't worry about it. As long as you're up, you're young upstairs, that's what's going to keep us going. Vox Guitars Rock brings up a great point. The government can't freeze your D28 like they can your bank account. Great point. Great point. All right, so guys, I just wanted to clarify a couple of things so we don't stumble over ourselves. First of all, if I skip over your question, it's not because I'm trying to avoid it or anything like that. I'm constantly going up and down scanning the comments. So if I miss it, don't worry, I'll either get to it eventually or you can just post it at the bottom. Super chats are always welcome. It supports the channel. Consider it a donation that keeps the stuff going. If you want to pick up a cool Addicted to the Gear shirt, something like this I'm wearing today, there's a few located, and I usually post that in the links under my videos. There's ones that have a big logo like this if you're bold. There's ones that have smaller logos if you want to be more discreet about it, but that also helps the channel as well. Not as much as a super chat does, because this is kind of split between the people that make these shirts that get most of the cash, and I get like a small percentage. So unfortunately, the prices are a little bit higher for those type of things, for the swag, and I end up getting less of it, but it's all good. It all goes to a good cause, which is keeping the channel going, and I appreciate that. But most importantly, guys, the thing that I appreciate the most are the thumbs up. So if you guys can give me a thumbs up, that would be fantastic. And obviously the participation in the channel. So let's see here. $64,000 question. What new gear did you get for your birthday, Tony? That's a great question. So the answer is, well, I get new gear all the time, right? So the carbon fiber Next G guitar is new. That's something I got this week. I'm actually waiting for a shipment of stuff that I ordered, which is a whole bunch of pedals. But in terms of gear, I've been kind of good. I've been very, let's just say, patient. There's a couple of things that I have my eye on, and I'm gonna have to eat crow, guys, because last weekend I said a few things regarding the PRS stuff, and it's this week I've kind of changed my mind about something, and I'm going to share that with you. I hate when that happens because it makes me kind of look dumb, but I fess up. Jean-Pierre wants to know if I designed that logo. Yeah, I kind of did. That was something I put together. You like it? It's kind of, it's interesting, right? What kind of guitar is the guy playing? Let's see who the real gearheads are. What does this guitar style look like to you? Let me know. Let me know if you guys can figure it out. All right, so I'm getting distracted. So here, you guys were talking about, I want to show you something really cool. Can I show you something really cool here for a sec? I got to go get it. One sec. I'll be right back. Don't move. All right, I'm back, guys. So we're talking about what I got in terms of gear, but I wanted to show you something really cool before I actually talk about gear. I got a really cool gift, and I really like it. And it's I got to give out a big shout of thanks to Luca and his family for a really cool gift I got this year on my birthday. This is a candle, and it's hard to see, but it's actually a bust of Jimi Hendrix. And it's, well, I don't know if you can see up here what it looks like. If I hold it up to the camera, it's actually a Jimi Hendrix bust in wax that is actually a candle. It's actually from a company called Burning Stars. And so if you want to check them out, it's just burning, BURNING, stars, STARS.com. And the cool thing about this is that not only does it look cool, and I'm going to put it on my amplifier behind me and you know, use it eventually, even though it's too nice to turn on. The bust is actually has Jimi Hendrix engraved signature in it. And the cool thing about this is that because it's part of the Jimi Hendrix Foundation, the company contributes a portion of the sales to an organization that helps and provides musical instruments for disadvantaged children. And basically, you know, it goes to the bigger good, the greater good, which is getting instruments in the hands of disadvantaged children. And I think that's a really cool thing. And if any of you want to support the cause, just go over to burningstars.com and pick up one of these really cool Jimi Hendrix candles, especially if you're a Jimi Hendrix fan and you're helping younger kids, you know, just discover the love of music. And I think that's a super great thing. So take a look at that if you can. I just wanted to give a shout out to that company and hopefully encourage a few more contributions that way. All right, Mark, thank you so much, buddy. Mark has just sent over a super chat. He says happy birthday, and he says I've played in a ton of bands, but I'm in the first gigging power trio. Have you ever played in a trio? If so, what tips do you have playing wise and gear wise for playing in a trio? Actually, I have played in a trio, not for a long time, but honestly, I really like playing in trios, Mark. It's just because I find that you have more room. You got to cover more room, but you have more room to fill in sounds, and we're not like tripping over each other in terms of, you know, trying to find a pocket for the guitar to live in. You know, when you have a big band and you have maybe a keyboard player, a couple of singers, two guitarists, it's kind of, you gotta stick to your lane, so to speak. Whereas in a power trio, you have more ability to try and be big and bold and fill in the sounds, you know. So the tips I have, I mean, it's just, you know, you can definitely go a little bit more crazy in terms of the frequencies that you're using as a guitarist. You don't have to worry about it as much because it's not going to turn to mush. And for gear, you know, I think a lot of power trios tend to use a lot more modulation effects also to make the guitar sound bigger. You know, things like choruses and reverbs and flangers and phasers and all this kind of stuff. So you can really go crazy with that, and, you know, delays, and work out things where you can stimulate the ear to think that there's more than one player, especially with delays, harmonizers, that type of thing. It's really, you know, the world is your oyster when it comes to that kind of thing. So you can have a lot more creative flexibility as a power trio, I think. And it's a lot of fun. It really is. If you guys are playing in a power trio, Mark, are you playing any specific type of music? Are you sticking to power trio type music, you know, or are you just playing everything? Like, are you playing Police? Are you playing Rush? Are you playing, you know, different things like that? Give me a little insight on how what your approach is. I'd be really interested in hearing that. And thank you for the power chat. I appreciate that too. Thank you. Davis says Triumph. Yeah, Triumph is a great power trio as well. The Police. I love the Police. Fat Philosopher. I always did. I always thought they were fantastic. That's a great example of a band like just filling things in. You don't need another musician in that band. It's just perfect. Wayne says, fire him up and burn him down, Tony. I will be doing that. Eddie Jr. says, stay away from barred chords, use higher or smaller chord voicings. Hey, that's a really good tip, Eddie. And that's actually pretty true. You're right. You can get fancier on your chords, right? You don't have to stick to the boring stuff. And we saw that, with the Police. Andy Summers always found creative ways of using the chords and just breaking them up into interesting, um, triads and, instead of just strumming the chord, he would like quasi strum, quasi pick the notes within the chords to make it sound nice and keep it ringing and giving a lot more room to the vocals and the bass to do its thing. And as a power trio, also the drummer, the drummer could go crazy too and fill in a lot of the space. So it's a fun. I think a power trio is one of the most enjoyable type bands in my opinion. You have to do more heavy lifting. Everybody's doing more than one thing, but it makes it fun. Never gets boring. So Mark's saying that he's playing mostly originals, some covers, and his pedal his pedal board is huge. Yeah, no kidding. That's okay. So I was right. So lots of delays, octaves, etc. Tell me, Mark, what type of octaver are you using? If you have any good suggestions, I'd love to experiment with that a little bit more. I think those are a lot of fun to play with. It's fun. It's really fun to start getting. When you start getting into those things, it opens up a lot of creative doors. Yeah, that's the nice thing about, like Mark is saying that he ran 2 amps in stereo. That's a great trick. Andy Summers, I'm sure, was doing that because all of his rig was stereo effects. And that's a beautiful way to make it sound bigger because then you can use like pan delays, left and right, and the delays and reverbs sound huge. It's just a trick to make everything sound bigger, and I love it. It sounds fantastic. Yeah, exactly. Most trios have really good drummers. It's no coincidence. They got to fill in a lot of space, right? It sounds like you're having a lot of fun, Mark, and that's great. And you're gigging a lot, which is fantastic. That's what I like to hear. I'm just going to scroll back up, guys. If I'm quiet for a minute, it's just because I'm looking for other questions. There was a bunch of questions, or a few at the beginning. I just want to make sure that I'm answering. And Ed says, Tony, do you ever lose interest in playing guitar? I haven't picked up a guitar in months. It does happen, Ed. It does happen. Thankfully, it doesn't happen too often, but it does happen from time to time. And you kind of have to give yourself the pep talk if you're ever falling into a rut where you don't feel like playing. Sometimes, let's face it, in the winter, I'm not a winter guy. You get the winter blues. Some people get a little depressed in the winter. It's kind of normal. You can't go outside and get fresh air and sunlight. You're kind of stuck inside hibernating. And, the days are shorter. You kind of get into that rut sometimes, and you just feel like run down energy wise. And I think that overlaps your how you feel in terms of playing guitar. I feel like that sometimes too. And I just have to talk myself out of it. Sometimes what I like to do when I get into that situation is just play a different style of guitar. Sometimes I'll put my electric guitars away and just concentrate on acoustic guitar. Just go back to like straight chords, melodies. Forget about trying to, play licks and leads and all that kind of stuff. You know, but I think that, looking at your guitar playing from a different perspective, more maybe from a creative perspective, maybe try and write a song. I don't know how many of you actually out there just play songs or actually try to compose something, but composing something is really cool, especially on guitar. If you have a simple setup, you can get away with creating some really good ideas, and it's fantastic because it kind of gets you into a different state of mind, which sometimes just gets you out of the rut and stimulates other things. I think it's a great way of kind of jump starting your creativity. All right. Peg City Pickups is in the house. How you doing, my friend? Guys, if you ever want to pick up some really cool pickups, Peg City, especially if you're in Canada and you don't want to pay duties and crazy shipping costs, Peg City, an excellent source of awesome pickups, and they can definitely hook you up with something really cool. I'm always looking for great opportunities for great sounding pickups, and if ever you have anything specific in mind, check them out, contact them. They can hook you up. Tell them I sent you. Cool Tune says that's an interesting question because when down in my winter home, I'm Florida, in Florida. No, wait, I'm getting that. That is interesting question because when down in my winter home, I'm Florida, such as now. I live to play guitar all the time. Maybe the sun and palm trees do it. Well, Cool Tunes, yeah. If you can't get inspired by taking an acoustic guitar, sitting underneath a palm tree by the beach and strumming some chords, that would definitely entice me to play. Eddie says, I've been working on the Pretenders back on the Chain Gang today, totally out of my wheelhouse. Eddie, that's another great point that you brought up. Playing stuff that you don't usually play is a great way to get out of a rut also. Because what ends up happening, like let's say you're into metal, you're into metal, you're feeling in a rut, you're like, I don't feel like playing guitar. Expand your horizons, listen to different types of music, maybe try reggae, something you've never tried before, and listen to it, appreciate it, listen to it with an open mind, and try and play and pick up a couple of nuances from that style of music. And I guarantee, even though reggae might not be your thing, you can definitely apply some things that you learn to your style of playing to make it fresh and new again. Take maybe an arrangement, take a chord pattern, some broken chords from that, and try and apply it into your music, and that'll be a great way to stimulate fresh new ideas, which usually helps you get out of that rut. The thing to remember is the ruts don't last forever, guys. So stick with it, and you'll definitely it'll come back. Time off is good. It's true. Sometimes you need a little break from the instruments. I agree. Matt says, hey, Tony, long-time subscriber. Well, thank you, Matt. First comment or question, do you play any other instruments, and happy birthday? Thank you very much, Matt. Thank you very much. Do I play any other instruments? If you're asking me if I play any other instruments well, the answer is no. If you're asking me, do I play any other instruments for fun, or I try to? Yes, I do. First of all, as most guitarists do, I've always dabbled a little bit in bass. I got a bass guitar, and I usually play bass, put down some ideas here and there. I also, you may or may not be able to see it, but there, just out of the camera, I have a piano, which I love piano. I wish I could play piano better. And maybe as I get older, or maybe when I retire, I finally will maybe try and take piano lessons or something. I would love to be able to play piano. It's such a great instrument to compose on, because it's all laid out right there in front of you, and it really makes it easy to understand what you're doing. Piano, and I did actually play drums and actually take drum lessons for about 2 years, quite a while ago. So I did dabble in drums, and I honestly feel like learning another instrument is a great way to appreciate and hear better, because after I took the drum lessons, even though I'm far from being a Keith Moon or Neil Peart, it did open my eyes to the rhythm aspect of guitars, and makes me appreciate really the rhythm part of the guitar, not just the individual notes, and how everything ties into the drummer. And when I play in a band, I'm very aware of what the drummer is doing, because I've played it, I've done it myself, and I can actually imagine in my mind the physical aspects of playing what the drummer is playing, and it just makes me more aware overall. So yeah, I highly recommend trying to play another instrument. I believe an MIT, wrong school. When you're at Berkeley, and you're learning music, and you're really serious about it, they encourage all of their students to actually play another instrument or two, so that you have a different perspective, and I think it helps. Wayne says, Tony or anyone, is there a wood that looks almost identical to ebony? Actually, let me just take a sip here, guys. Sorry, I got some coffee. Oh yeah, it tastes great. Ebony, these days, Wayne, a lot of companies are making, I guess they call them engineered woods. And what that is different types of wood, either glued, sandwiched together. And they can make this stuff look like anything. I believe even Martin uses this technique on some of their more affordable guitars. They actually build the neck of their guitars out of a series of laminated pieces of wood it's basically like a giant slab of plywood. It's just layered pieces of thin slabs of wood glued together. But they can now make it look like anything. And I've had guitars where the neck, you would bet your bottom dollar that the fretboard was ebony, but it wasn't. It was actually it's a structured wood. It's like, but I don't know what they're called. I don't know if they actually have names, but they can do this. And in many cases, they're way more stable because of the way they're manufactured. So Eddie piped in and says, Rich Light. Yes, that's one of them. I don't know if there's others, but I have no problem using stuff like that because it looks really dark. You can't tell it apart from ebony, and it's more affordable and more stable. So I hope that answers your question. I love ebony fretboards too. Certain guitars, you just need ebony on it. It just makes everything look so much better. So thanks for the question. And Matt says, "Me too. Don't claim to know how to play drums or guitar or keyboards." Monk says, "Just getting back to playing after 12 years off. I had crushed my left hand. Now I'm learning to work around my index fingers' limitations." Yeah, that's rough, man. Whenever you have a physical issue that doesn't allow you to play, it's no fun at all. I have living in a climate that varies from very humid to very dry. I find myself sometimes struggling with a little bit of arthritis in the fingers, specifically the little pinky on my left hand. And honestly, when it kicks in, it's nothing major. But when it kicks in, it really puts a damper on your playing. And for anyone dealing with something even bigger or more of an issue, it's a real challenge, but you definitely want to try and stay with it and just keep on going as much as you can, even with the limitations. You end up finding other ways around it, eventually. Great, guys, thank you so much for some great feedback, because I see you guys answering the questions that are being asked here. Apart from my answers, you're piping in and giving your opinion. I love that. Keep it up, guys. I love that kind of back and forth. That's really what we want to stimulate here. Davis Music says, "Tony, I have a Strat build with a carven neck from the 90s. Plays great except the high E frets out at the 20th fret. but not the 19th or the 21st. So it sounds to me, Davis, like, so you're saying it frets out at the 20th fret, 20th fret, but not at the 19th and or the 21st. So if that's the case, to me it sounds like a simple high fret, which means that you can probably adjust it by not necessarily having to do an entire fret level. You can focus on that. Davis, do you have a fret rocker? If you have a fret rocker, it's a little metal triangular piece of metal with the edges completely flat. You can just put it on the frets and rock those 3 frets to really determine which one is high. Just put a little Sharpie marker on the high one and just file that one down till it starts to not rock anymore across those 3 frets, and you should be fine. It doesn't sound like a big issue. Pretty easy fix, I would say, unless there's something I'm not getting here. So let me just unplug this guy for a sec, because I did talk about the guitar that's behind me here. I want to just get that for you. 1 sec. Here we are. Let me plug it in. This guitar I did a review on. This is a very inexpensive Chinese-made guitar. Of course, another name I can't really pronounce properly. I don't know why they love names that are hard to pronounce, but anyway, I don't know if you can see that here. It's a Zuwei, I believe, Z-U-W-E-I. And for all intents and purposes, this basically is a copy of a Charvel. That's what it is, except for the reversed headstock and the shape, obviously. So I reviewed this guitar. I like it. I specifically like the way they have the Strat style jack input at an angle there. It's so great. It stays out of the way. The color's interesting. Not my favorite color, Monk, but you know, I don't have a guitar this color, so it's all good. So when I got this guitar, I really love this neck, guys. Look at this neck. It feels wonderful. I wish they didn't have the reverse headstock on this, because for all intents and purposes, this headstock is identical, or pretty identical to my Sir headstock. If it was this way, it would, you would easily be able to mistake it for a Sir. And I'm not crazy about the upside down tuners and all that kind of stuff, but it is what it is. I asked them if they would ever come out with a model with a headstock right side up, and they said, possibly, but I'm not sure. Anyways, this is a very affordable guitar. You can probably find these on eBay still, and you'd be surprised at the price. This was like a $260 guitar at the time. Who knows if it's still the same price? I'm not sure. Was it perfect? No. But my evaluation of this guitar is that the actually Quicksilver, the EART guitar, or EART guitars, very similar, not exactly the same as this one, but they're all leaning towards the Sir / early Kramer headstock. That's kind of the style of that headstock. Anyway, long story short, so the guitar had a lot of positives, namely the neck. I love the body shape. I love the carves. The heel in here. Look at this. It's got a carve in there, very similar to what you have on the Sir guitars. This is wonderful. As you can see, the back cavity is opened up, because that's what I was doing. I actually decided to swap out the bridge. The bridge that was in here was kind of a Wilkinson knockoff bridge. The stuff that comes in these Chinese guitars often are OEM or replica hardware. I'm sure it's not a real Wilkinson bridge, but it's very similar to this bridge, which is a Wilkinson bridge. So I decided to upgrade the bridge because I felt that there was a couple of things wrong with the other one. And one of the things that was wrong with it was that the actual bridge block, not only was it very thin, it was too high. For some reason, they had their dimensions wrong or something, so it was actually sticking up too high in the cavity, which meant that when the plastic cover was on this guitar, the springs would actually touch the back of the cover and would cause tuning issues. So because of that, a lot of people think the guitar is not good. It's actually, I mean, the foundation of the guitar is fantastic, and it's a great modding platform. As a matter of fact, these pickups are ceramic pickups. Let me plug it in. They're ceramic pickups, but they sound pretty good. Like, I have nothing against ceramic pickups if they sound good. A lot of people think you have to automatically get rid of ceramic pickups because they're cheap, but it's not necessarily the case. So anyways, long story short, guys, what I ended up doing was I swapped out the bridge. And there's always surprises when you do that in these Chinese guitars, because they don't respect the same tolerances and dimensions that you would see on a guitar in the North America or the US. So you can always expect a few surprises. So I documented all of that in my video. All right, for you guys, if you're interested in trying that out, I'll show you how I did it. Okay, so let me just make sure the guitar is tuned. I put brand new strings on it yesterday, so the thing's going to be out of whack for a while. And I like to let the strings settle before I actually finalize the setup. I haven't done the intonation yet, so this is what a guitar that hasn't been completely set up sounds like. So this is a so I'm playing it really low, and I'll do the neck. The neck is a lot warmer. Actually, I lowered the sound on my patch here, so let me just put it a little higher. So basically, once the guitar is going to be set up, then put it in the middle position. It's going to sound great, and it plays killer. So I wouldn't hesitate grabbing this guitar if you know how to make some minor tweaks. The bridge upgrade, I mean, this is not a super expensive bridge. It's not a Vega Trem by any means. I think I played this bridge, shipping and everything, maybe 40 bucks or something like that. So it's a great upgrade because the block is bigger. It's better quality metals. It's not soft like the other ones are. The other ones, they were already starting to get divots in them, and I hardly used it, you know. So once it's set up, once I do the complete setup on this guitar, including the intonation, give the strings a chance to stretch, it's gonna feel great. The neck is great on this guitar. And basically, somebody was asking me about the fretwork. The fretwork on this is perfect. It really, I have no issues. I don't see any issues. Right now, the action is very low. Like, I wouldn't be able to slip a pick underneath the you know, the 7th fret. It's actually even a little bit too low. And again, I haven't like finished setting it up, but I don't have any buzzing. You know, so it's basically it's just tuning. There's going to be a little bit of adjustments here at the nut to make the tuning even better, and it's going to be perfect. You know, the Randy, yes, the ceramic pickups do sound a little harsher. You're right, but in certain guitars, I don't mind having the bite. You know, let me just put it. Let me see if I have a cleaner sound here. So, can you guys hear? So this is a jazz chorus. So this is the neck, the bridge. It has a little bit more bite, but the mid and the neck sound pretty good, even for ceramic. So for the time being, I'll probably keep these pickups in there. Who knows in the future what will end up being in there. Monk likes the color of the fretboard. Me too. I like it kind of has a baked look to it. I don't know if it actually is baked or if it's just the type of wood, but it really, I like it. I have nothing against this particular type of guitar, you know. Gene says Ryan gave the first E-Art guitar a bad review and criticized the ERT buyers. I don't know which Ryan you're talking about. Look, it all depends on what you guys are used to. You know, if you're used to a certain style of guitar, they're not for everyone. They definitely have a different feeling neck. All my guitars are slightly different. That's what I like about them, you know. But I know I can clearly identify a guitar that has a good foundation. And even though this guitar, you know, like I said, was not perfect, I can make it pretty close to perfect. And it wouldn't actually take me too much effort. You know, if the neck is crooked in the sense where it's actually in the pocket crooked, or if the pocket is too loose or something like that, then, you know, you avoid putting extra time and effort into it. But these pockets, I can't show you, but if you go back and watch my video review on this guitar, you'll see there's clear, detailed pictures of the entire guitar, and it was a steal. So Dan, the fretwork was very good. And by the way, I didn't even, like, I'm not finished with this guitar. Like right now, even the little ground wire is not soldered in because I had to remove the actual claw. So you're hearing this guitar before it's actually set up. Again, no intonation or anything. So it's far from being ideal. So keep that in mind. Quicksilver says I can hear a slight ring from your vocal mic, a very light buzz. My earphone does the same. Is that the action is too low or the neck needs adjusting? All of the above, Quicksilver. As I mentioned, this guitar, it hasn't been adjusted apart from me dropping in the new bridge and adjusting the height and the angle of the bridge. So it still has to have adjustment in terms of the curvature of the neck, the relief of the neck. The saddles on the bridge have not been adjusted to also match the curvature of the fretboard. So I normally do that as well. So if there's any slight buzzing, it could be that, or it could also be the fact, like I just mentioned, the ground wire is not even, it's not even in. So like I said, there's still quite a bit of work for me to do on this guitar, but but you know, it's gonna come. I love projects. Randy says, Tony, we know you changed the pickups. Side bet anyone? Probably, Randy, probably. You know, but that's why I buy these guitars, is to make them better. So who knows? Who knows what's going to end up in this guitar? BC Rich 581 says technically the reverse headstock should have a little bit better string tension, but it isn't that significant, so I don't know if you'd hear it or feel the string tension. Well, the thing about this guitar, guys, I don't know if you noticed, but it's 24 frets. You can see that, right? So I don't have that many guitars. Actually, this is the only guitar that I have right now that has 24 frets. And that's one of the reasons why I like this guitar and makes it different from all the other ones that I have. So I have, I like to keep a variety of things available. So in case, I'm looking for something slightly different, it's available. The 24 frets is cool to have just in case you need that those extra few notes up here on the money side of the neck. So that's why I like it. I like diversity. Quicksilver says the light buzz I heard was the string lightly hitting the frets as it rings. My Epiphone does the same. For example, when hitting the open A string, it's very possible. Like I said, I haven't finished adjusting it, so I'm pretty sure that's gonna go away once I'm finished the adjustments. It's also, there's a high chance that one of these bridge saddles is too low because right now they're completely flat, and I like to set them up following the curvature of the neck. So no fear, it'll be adjusted eventually. So one of the things I wanted to also talk about, guys, now that I'm, over the description of what I'm working on here, I wanted to come clean. Well, Wayne, actually, I'm not a big 24 fret kind of guy. Most of the guitars that I have are kind of more leaning towards the vintage flavor stuff. So yeah, I don't go out of my way looking for 24 fret guitars, but it's nice to have one. So one of the things I wanted to say, guys, is I want to come clean and apologize because last week on my live show, I kind of dissed PRS a little bit. We were talking about guitar amplifiers, and I mentioned that PRS wasn't quite there with their amps, and and some of their pickups. But lo and behold, here I am this week, and what do I see? PRS adds a 20-watt head in their lineup, which is the HDRX, amp, which is basically the Hendrix amp. So I don't know if you guys know the backstory on this, but apparently PRS, Paul, got his hands on Jimi Hendrix Woodstock Marshall Super Lead, and then they came out with sort of a clone version of that, which was the HDR X, which was the Hendrix amp. Well, this week they released the 20-watt version of this amp, and I gotta say, I like it. And I like it, and I also like the fact that it's not that expensive. And I think I might actually pre-order it. And I don't usually like to pre-order stuff without hearing it in person, but they're saying that the PRS HDR-X20 and the HDR-X 1x12 cabinet are both available to pre-order for $799 and $399. So the actual head, this guitar head at 20 watts, is only $799. I think that's a freaking awesome deal. And I mentioned before, I'm a Marshall guy. I love the Marshall sound. I've dabbled with Mesa amps. I've dabbled with a lot of Fender amps. I've been back and forth. Egnator. I've had, too many amps to even remember. Fuchs. I've had Fargen amplifiers. I've had like so many different amps. I don't even remember most of them. But at the end of the day, I'm a Marshall guy, but I like cleans. That's the thing, you know. And I actually think the Marshall clean is great. A lot of people associate Marshall amps with, you know, drive, like a JCM 800 type thing. But the early Marshalls were actually could be played pretty clean, and you can have a really nice clean sound out of it. This amp, at least the clip I heard, sounds like that. So the question is, do I need another amp? No. But do I need something that sounds clean like that? And can do the Marshall drive as well? Yeah, I need that. The cool thing about this amp, it also has a master volume. So you can actually drive it quite a bit and not have to like crank it extremely high like the originals were. And at 20 watts, I think, honestly, I think 20 watts is the ideal output range for an amp. I don't think you need more than that today. So I think I need it. So I'm going to have to think long and hard here because I already have a few amps. And a lot of them, well, you know, the Marshall, the Brunetti, the Friedman Dirty Shirley. There's a lot of amps that I have that are not shabby amps at all. But if that amp sounds like it did in the video in the room, it's going to sound awesome, I think. So, dude, what do I do? I need your advice, guys. I know what you guys are going to say. You're going to say, get it. I need you to talk me out of it. Help me out, guys. Help me out. Oh, Lord. I don't know what to do. So, give me your feedback. I like to hear from you. Rico, thank you for the super chat, my friend. Rico says, happy belated birthday. I'm buying your beverage of choice. Thank you for all the great content you continue to provide. Rico, thank you very much for supporting the channel. I really appreciate it, man. Thank you. Mark, you're not helping me. Mark says, Tony, buy it. Buy it, Tony. That's not what I need to hear. Matt also says, get it. Get it. Monk says, sound just went way out of sync. I think, yeah, I noticed that too, guys. There might be a little bit of too much of a load on my network right now. So it could partially be that. It should, let me know if it's still out of sync, guys. Back in sync. All right, great, great, great. That was weird. Yeah, I think it's just and my hard drive's getting full, guys. It's a couple of different things. All right, so don't fear. I'm just gonna lower my seat a little bit. How's that? All right, cool. So I'm not slouching so much. I know. I would really love to try it out. The thing is, I can't try the guitar out anywhere here. There's not a lot of people that carry these amps. I got to see if I can order it through one of the companies that is located here someplace, because at the end of the day, I would love to be able to return it if I don't like it. Someone is downloading torrents? Maybe. Could be my son playing video games. Who knows? Me too, Mark. That's the thing. It seems like the amp that I've been waiting for too, and I would have never expected PRS to come out with an amplifier that sounds that good at that price. I think they're going to blow a lot of amps out of the water with that price. Gene, thank you so much, buddy. Gene sent a super chat. He says, happy belated birthday, Tony, for dog biscuits. Did you hear that, Maya? She's sleeping. She'll be happy to gobble up those dog biscuits from you, Gene. Thank you very much, buddy. I appreciate that. You guys are awesome. Eddie says, Tony, buy it, but use one of Landon's affiliate links. Good idea. Good idea. Why not? He's busy harvesting crypto. I would only wish. Unfortunately, I don't think that's the scenario here. So John D says, any Tony or anyone here have any experience with the Blackstar HD20 RH Mark II guitar amplifier head, 20 watts? Yes, absolutely. I've tried those and looked at those amps before purchasing my Jared James Nichols 20 combo amp here, and they're I like the Blackstar stuff. Blackstar stuff gets a bad rap often because of the way the amps are constructed. Mostly, I think because they're not easy to repair, and the drive circuit is it's almost like a pedal in the amplifier because it's the drive is being generated mostly by the circuit and not by the tubes. So I think a lot of people for that reason kind of shun the Blackstar stuff, but I still think they sound pretty good for the amount of money they're asking for. You could get them used for next to nothing. So I haven't had any issues with mine. I like it. It's quite flexible for what I need, and I've been enjoying it, you know. So that's my point of view. It went out of sync. Guys, is it still out of sync? So the HDRX is $799 US Quicksilver, which is really cheap. Hey, Cool Tunes, thank you, buddy. Thank you. You guys are awesome. He says, put it towards the PRS 20-watt tube head. So you guys are not helping me. I mean, you're helping me, but you're not helping me. I appreciate that, Cool Tunes. Thank you very much, buddy. Now I'm going to have to get it. You guys are going to have to explain it to the wife. Have you done any reviews of the Line 6 effects? No, I haven't. I'm thinking about getting a Helix just to compare and see what it can do. I might make a video of that. I'm not really sure. I've had Line 6 stuff before, Monk, but I didn't. At that time, I wasn't actively making the videos for multi-effects units, so I didn't actually do any that I could remember. But if you guys are into that stuff and you'd like to see that stuff, I could try to oblige. Randy says, I love you, bro. You don't need it. You have the Fender Supersonic, etc. Not a PSR fanboy. I know, Randy. I know I don't need it, dude. I know. But it's like I want it. I'm curious more than anything. You know, I'd love to be able to try it without any obligations. But the only way I can get one to try is to actually buy it. And then if I don't like it, I got to sell it. So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I got to sleep on it. Since they don't have any in stock and it's just a pre-order, who knows when they're actually going to come out with them. Wayne says, what would be the all-in price to your door Canadian for the amp? I don't know, Wayne. I would have to do the math. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be exchange. Obviously, that's 30% more. Then there's going to be shipping. I'm sure they're not going to ship it for free. Duties. Possibly duties. So I don't know. It's probably, I would say it's probably going to end up being close to $1,000. Well, maybe even a little bit more. But honestly, I mean, you can't even get a Princeton for under $1,400. Right? Am I right or am I wrong, guys? I don't know. Maybe $925 Canadian. That's possibly the price before, you know, everything. I'm not really sure. I wouldn't get the combo Quicksilver. I wouldn't buy the combo. I want to get the cabinet because I have cabinets. My 4x12 cabinet here is great. I have a couple of 1x12 cabinets here. I don't need another cabinet. That's the beauty of the head, is that you can actually plug it in anywhere. So I don't know. Eddie, Can you do that for me, bud? That would be great. That would be great. Pick one up for me. Let's talk. All right. I guess it's back in sync. So Vox Guitars Rock says sell Marshall amp and buy PRS. Marshall will probably buy them out at some point. I would not sell my Marshall amp. The Marshall Studio 20 is great, and people would probably be asking, Tony, why would you want another Marshall sounding amp if you like the Marshall Studio 20 so much? The Marshall Studio 20 that I have here does not have a master volume on it. So it's great, but you got to crank it if you want to get into the sweet spot, and it is very loud. But I wouldn't sell it. Honestly, the vintage Studio 20 from Marshall is a fantastic amp. And what blows me away is the PRS amp is actually cheaper. So I think they're trying to eat part of Marshall's pie, so to speak, with this amp. And I think they could do it. Because I'm not a PRS amp guy. I haven't been till now. But it's on my radar, guys. Cool Tunes has a good point. We are gear addicts. Would you guys tell me not to buy it? I'm asking the wrong group. Is that the point here? John, I'm talking about the PRS HDRX 20. It's a new amp from PRS that came out. And DMAX says, I played some Black Stars lately, including HTs and St. James models, and thought the JJN Black Star models were the best. I agree. That's why I ended up buying mine. I like it. And people often say there's no difference. There is a difference. There's definitely a difference between this. Even though it might be a slight difference, there is a difference. So don't let them steer you the wrong way. And Rico says, have you played any of the Tremonti PRS amps? I've heard they're great. The Tremonti stuff is great if you're looking at something that does high gain really well. The only thing is that I like an amp that has a little bit more flexibility, and I try to stay away from amps that are just high gain, because I feel like it's a one-trick pony at that point. The Friedman amp I have behind me here, the Friedman Dirty Shirley right there, is a great amplifier. It also does the Marshall sound really well. It also has a master volume on it. It's 40 watts, so it's extremely loud. But it doesn't clean up as well. So it does the Marshall dirty edge of breakup stuff at the cleanest. So if you're looking for something cleaner than that, it won't do it. But it's a great amp. Mark's still trying to convince me. Buy it, Tony. Don't listen to the negativity. You guys. Yeah, you guys. Davis says, I bet you receive it before the Axe Effects. See, that's the other thing, is that I was actually looking forward to getting the Axe Effects. And, if I bring in another amplifier, definitely something's going to have to go, right? Out of the bunch here, what would I get rid of if I would bring in another amplifier, guys? I'm thinking, if it does the clean really well, I might end up getting rid of the Supersonic or the Black Star. Not because they're shabby amps, just because at that point there's a lot of overlap. I bought the Black Star to kind of do the Marshall sound in a small combo that I can bring down to 5 watts, and it has all of the outputs in the back of it to be able to go directly in and connect via USB and all this cool stuff with a digital reverb. It was basically a grab and go amplifier. But honestly, if I would bring in the PRS, I think most likely, and I would have to A/B it across those 3 amps, but it would be one or the other, depending on how I, what ends up what the end result ends up being from the sound tests. Randy says the PRS amp is perhaps Chinese. I would not be surprised if it is Chinese, because at that price, I don't see how else they're doing it, right? So I'm not really sure yet. They haven't really specified, but I'm assuming it is. Cooltoon says, I'm using a Roland Micro Cube in my Florida condo. Honestly, if the speaker was bigger, sounds great, and I'm only playing it with a Harley Benton Telecaster style, the overdrive is crazy decent sounding. A lot of those early cubes sounded great, and yeah, a lot of people overlook the obvious when it comes to some of the stuff that's out there today. John wants to know what I think the difference is between the JNN and the HT20. You mean the JJN and the HT20? I believe the JJN is tuned slightly different. The HT20 is geared a little bit more to the metal sounds, a little bit more higher gain. The JJN is tuned a little bit more to classic rock sound. It's not a huge difference, but I believe that it's all in the mids. It's all in the way the mids are tweaked on the amps. I'm not sure if the speaker is the same. It could also be a different speaker, but they are slightly different. I saw that comment too. Somebody on one video in NAMP says they're the same amp, but they're not. They're definitely not the same amp. Randy says, keep the Fender. You know what, Randy? I would probably lean more towards keeping the Fender just to have that Fender sound. Because I already have 3 amps behind me. Actually, 4 amps behind me that do the Marshall thing, right? The Brunetti, Friedman, the Marshall, and the Blackstar. That's 4 kind of Marshall sounding amps. So yeah, probably one of those would need to go. Eddie says, question: If all the classic Fender amps, which one has the most overdrive or gets the dirtiest? Probably, believe it or not, well, are you talking about the modern ones too? You're talking about the classic Fender amps, so the vintagey stuff? Good question, because a lot of them had didn't really break up all that easy. A lot of them were designed for staying clean. The Bassman is the one that a lot of people use and say was the sort of the foundation of the Marshall circuit. But the Bassman wasn't dirty unless you really cranked it up. And even at that point, I think it needed some help from pedals. But the Tweed amps, the vintage Tweed amps, really broke up early and had that gnarly sound. So, it's not overdrive. It's more like breakup that you would get. And I don't know if you're talking about, when you say dirty, Eddie, I don't know if you're talking about compared to today's kind of modern amplifiers that are high gain. They didn't have master volume, so it's definitely not the same. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm going to say, I'm assuming the Tweed style vintage amps got the dirtiest. Yeah, the Machete had drive, but I think the question was vintage sounding. The Machete is not vintage; it's more of a recent amp, Randy. So if you're looking at an amp, if you're asking me which Fender had like a gain based on even the more modern stuff, there's a few other amps that they've come out with that have more gain, but they're not vintage. I don't know if I'm just confusing people here. I would buy the head. I have a cab with a Celestion G12H anniversary, 16 ohms. Yeah. Why not? Presley's here. He says, so sorry to be lurking in the background. I actually am running the Plek machine. Very cool, Presley. Hey, Presley, you gotta, you know what? Make a video, Presley. Show everybody how the Plek machine works. That would be really cool if you can do that on your channel. Presley California Customs has his own channel, guys, if you want to check it out. He shows some of the builds that he's making, and he can also plek your guitars if you're interested in getting them plecked. So if anybody doesn't know what plecking is, maybe Presley can make a video and show everybody the process. I think that would open up quite a few eyes. I'd be interested in seeing something like that. And Presley says the Fender twin red knob had a high gain channel and crazy good harmonics. A friend of mine had one of those, I remember. The red knobs. They're not as sought after as the regular twins. But you can still find them floating around there. Joseph. Hi, Joseph. How are you doing? He says, my 3 budget intermediate guitars are the Silver Sky SE. Nice choice. The Epiphone Classic Les Paul. Nice choice. And the Seagull S6 Acoustic. And I think they're incredibly excellent guitars for $1,000. I agree. I haven't tried the Seagull Acoustic, so I can't really comment on that one. But I have tried the Silver Sky. I did a review on my channel. You can check it out. And the Epiphones that I've tried sound pretty good. I'm very impressed by the Inspired by Epiphone series that they came out with recently. I don't have one of their guitars. Actually, I lie. I do have one of their guitars. Actually, I didn't even review that guitar for you guys yet. That reminds me. I got something to do later today or this weekend. But I'm very... I like the Inspired by series a lot. And I think they did an excellent job with those guitars. I haven't tried all of them, but the ones that I've tried are really good. All right. Paul says, Tony, stores in Alberta have only a 5% sales tax and will ship free out of province at this point. I agree, Paul. I agree. If ever I'm looking for any stuff, I usually, believe it or not, this hurts me to say, end up trying to buy stuff outside of my own province, because my own province doesn't have a 5% sales tax. It's quite a bit higher. And if they ship for free, it's better for me to actually purchase outside of the province. Crazy, isn't it? But that's what we're dealing with here. All right, guys. Listen, I see 33 thumbs up, but I see that there's 55 people watching here. I would appreciate it if we can hit at least 50 thumbs up. Can we try and do that? I'm trying to encourage people so that we can get to the 26,000 subscriber mark, because we're less than 10 people away from doing that. And if we can hit that today, it would make a great birthday gift for me from you guys. So please hit the like buttons if you haven't already done that, so that we can get this video out there and hopefully get a few more subscriptions. I'd love to hit the 26,000 mark before the end of the weekend. That would be fantastic. I see some coming in now. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. One other thing I wanted to mention, because you know the PRS amp thing threw me for a loop, but I was very pleased to see that beyond PRS, Dave Friedman has just released a brand new mini Dirty Shirley. So I don't know if you guys have seen that. For me, the Dirty Shirley is a great amplifier. This is why I bought it. I bought the 40-watt version. They didn't have the mini version of the Dirty Shirley out. And now they released There's a Dirty Shirley that came out first. Then they came out with the twin sister, which is a Dirty Shirley with 2 channels. Now they came out with the Dirty Shirley. I think they call it the Little Sister, which is basically a 20-watt version of the Dirty Shirley with, I think, a bright switch on it or something like that. It doesn't have the 2-channel thing going, but it has. It's a small, low wattage amp, lower than the other ones, and with a little switch on it. And another great option if you like the Friedman tuned type amplifiers that I think are fantastic. So there's a lot of stuff coming out, and I was actually surprised to see that coming out. And I kind of, I don't know. I know they had the Dirty Shirley Mini, right? So I figured, like, why would they come out with a Dirty Shirley Mini and then the Little Sister, you know? And I think the only difference is that switch between the two. So they're quite similar, which seems a little redundant to me, you know? But in any case, it's something to think about. If you were on the fence about possibly buying a Dirty Shirley, you have another option. Would I buy that one as opposed to the full-blown one? It's hard to say without hearing it. This amp is fantastic, but 40 watts is way more than you need. Thankfully, the master volume on this amplifier works so well that you could crank it and get a nice saturation at low volumes, but it absolutely sings when it's loud. The thing is, 40 watts is loud. So a 20-watt version of that would be sweet, you know. But I can't really say unless I would be able to try them side by side, you know. Right. So how long have we been actually talking here, guys? I think we've been going pretty long today. I'm losing track of time. Let's see. We've been talking an hour and a half. I'm still good to go for a little longer if you guys are in. You let me know. And if you gotta go, it's fine. You can go. You can watch the rest of it later. No big deal. Let's stick around for a little longer. Heck, I don't have a life. I'm good. Once I get started. Randy says, does an entire guitar need plecking, or can a neck alone be plecked for shipping, etc.? I believe, and I could be corrected on this, but I think you could actually ship just the neck. That's an excellent question, by the way. Excellent question. So where's my man? Is he going to answer the question? That's a good question. I don't want to steer you the wrong way. Presley, are you still there? Calling Presley. Please come in, Presley. We have a question for you. Presley, can you answer the question? Do we need to ship the entire guitar to be plecked, or can we ship you only the neck? I believe it's only the neck, but I don't want to lie to the good people here. So let's see what Presley says. All right. Great question, Randy. Thank you for that question. Peg City's got to go. He's got to make some brunch. Happy birthday, Tony. A little something is on the way to you from Peg City Shop. Have a great weekend. Thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate that. I love surprises. Looking forward to seeing what that is. Awesome. And Quicksilver says, I thought Plek required to also measure the tension of the strings. I'm not a Plek expert, guys. I'm not really sure. All right, so let's let the expert answer that question. And Jean-Pierre wants to hear some Twisted Sister. Sorry, Jean-Pierre. No can do, buddy. I don't play any Twisted Sister. Feel the noise. I want to rock. Jeff says, yeah, the Tweed Deluxe, the 68 Princeton gets pretty gritty, up about 6. And Eddie says, I think I heard Seth say he can do just the neck. Have I ever seen John Mayer live? No, have not. I like John Mayer a lot, but I haven't had an opportunity to see him. I don't think he comes to my neck of the woods that often. My neck is killing me, speaking of necks. Oh man, went out to shoot pool yesterday, and I love shooting pool, and I tried to use a better technique, better stance, better technique, and I strained my neck because when somebody's playing pool with glasses, it's not easy because you're constantly looking over your glasses, and it doesn't help if you're nearsighted. So you really have to twist your neck up a lot, and that didn't help. So I'm feeling it today. Quicksilver says, I'm a week late, but I'm making Thanksgiving dinner here. No problem. No problem at all. Turkey comes first. Paul says Friedman has a 50 watt 68 50 watt Marshall small block box plexi coming out. Regular price amp, not the premium range. Clone of Dave's personal and go-to amp. I don't know where you got that information, Paul, but that's sweet. A 68. And if that's when you say regular price, I'm not sure because there's the Friedman pricing. I don't think I've ever seen regular price Friedman anything. You always pay a premium for the Friedman stuff, but it's great. You know, I'm happy to pay a little bit more for that kind of stuff. And he says it's a clone of Dave's personal and go-to amp. That sounds sweet. Any idea when that's going to come out, Paul? Again, 50 watts is too loud. I'm sure that amp is going to be awesome, but I've had 50 watt Marshall Plexis before. They're too loud. If no matter how good they are, I had to end up selling them. I had the original Marshall Plexi, sold it, sounded great. I got a Retro Rocket clone, which was hand wired, point to point, awesome, great components, built beautifully. One of my favorite amps. I had to sell it, and it wasn't expensive. The amp I think ended up costing me shipping and everything from the States $1,800, and if I would easily buy another one, but it was too loud. I wasn't able to use that amplifier in the sweet spot without having an attenuator on it. And that's why I think 20 watts is the sweet spot for me. Do you understand? So it's not because I don't like it and I wouldn't want it. I'd buy it in a heartbeat if we were, back in the 80s, 90s. But today it's just too loud. It's weird that I'm saying that because we're sacrificing tone for volume, but because the louder ones do sound better in my opinion, but it's just a question of getting it to work in a regular environment. Jeff says, any advice on in-ear attenuators? Are you talking about hearing protection, Jeff, or are you talking about in-ear monitors? If you're talking about hearing protection, yeah, I've had some actually made by an audiologist. Those are the best because they mold them to your ears and they feel extremely comfortable, but they're expensive. If you want to get a cheaper alternative, I suggest these. These are Emotec. Can you see that? The website is etyplugs.com. etyplugs.com. And I'll show you what they look like. So basically, they look like something like this. They look like a regular, can you see that? They look like they have a silicone tip, and they have little inserts inside the back of it. There's a little clear plastic cylindrical space, and they have a little there's a little filter in there, and basically it filters out a lot of the sound without totally making it hard to hear. Great option if you can't go the expensive route. Definitely worth protecting your ears. Quicksilver says, oh no, When I say I am, I mean the wife. She gives thanks for me being out of the way. Okay, cool. Monk's gotta go. I'll catch the rest of the show later on. Thanks again, Tony, for hanging for the gang. No problem, Monk. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate that. Enrico says Plek machines are serious investments for any luthier or repair shop, coming in at about 250,000 bucks per unit. I thought they were a little bit less expensive, but they're definitely above $100,000. Steve says, I saw a guy fondle D. Schneider's foot at Janice Landing in Florida. D called him out saying, "You're freaking me the F out." It was hilarious. Yeah, you get a lot of weird things happening. And Paul says, not cheap. I expect 1,600 ish. It is a new line of authentic clones of the Perfect Classic, including a Vox AC30, but I expect no more than one a year. Yeah, but it's good that you're warning us, Paul, because, hey, here I am considering purchasing another amp. Maybe it's better for me to wait. But then when you wait, you don't buy anything, right? So Joseph's got to go to bed. It's 2:35 in Melbourne. Joseph, get some great Z's, and hopefully you have some gear dreams and wake up happy in the morning. You know what I mean? Thank you for tuning in, my friend. We got people sacrificing their beauty sleep to be here, and that's awesome. Thank you. Wayne says, what does it cost to plek a guitar? Again, Presley would be able to answer that question, so hopefully he'll pipe in. Maybe he's busy checking the machine and he'll be back, or he'll answer your question after the live show is over in the comment section. So we're 42 people, 42 thumbs up. That's awesome. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. And BC Rich says, I'm expecting that the cost of plecking machinery will drop significantly over the next few years. If they reach the 60K level, then it becomes something a shop could invest in and deduct as well. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, guys, I think Gibson automatically plex all of their guitars before they ship them. So I could be wrong. I'm not sure if they're still doing that, but I think they were doing that. Davis says Sweetwater in the States is charging about 200 bucks to plek a guitar. So it's not cheap. It's definitely not cheap, but I think once it's plecked, it's good to go. That's kind of like the ultimate fret level. It should be cheaper than doing it by hand, but you have the overhead of the equipment. You got to pay off the equipment, It's really what you're saving in time you're spending on equipment. And hopefully at a certain point, the equipment's paid off and the rest is strictly profit. But at over 100 Gs for a plek machine, I don't know how long it's going to take to actually pay off a machine like that. It's got to run quite a bit. Any Dave Mustaine fans in the house? Put your hand up. If there is. And if there isn't, I'm going to skip over what I'm going to say next, because I think you guys would be interested if you were fans of Dave Mustaine. And Gibson is just launching a brand new pickup shop. Did you guys hear about this? So if you're looking for historic, original, modern pickups from Gibson, they're going to be making their own. Which I guess is going to come at a premium because Gibson doesn't do anything for cheap anymore. They're going to come out with the historic collection, so who knows what we have in line. But they're talking about the P90s, the dog ear single coil, to the Dirty Finger humbuckers. And they're also going to have a modern collection, which includes pickups for more modern sounds and includes like 4-conductor wiring, switching options, and then of course the historic collection, which launches with an aftermarket debut of the custom bucker, previous available exclusively by Gibson Custom Shop Guitars. So if these things are coming out, you I'm pretty sure you're going to be paying anywhere from probably 230 to or 250 bucks American to over 500 bucks a set for sure. Something along those ranges. So they won't be cheap, you know. But for those of you looking at getting that sound, and if you have the money, it's an interesting option. Jeff says, ache in the places you used to play, Tony, the cost of another year on the clock. Uh, uh, if you're talking about just getting old, Jeff, dude, it comes with the territory. We're all here for a while. You know what I mean? We're all here for a good time, not a long time, so make it count. That's the way I look at it. Hey, Cranar, nice to see you jump in. Thank you for joining us. And Quicksilver confirms that Toman does plecking premium for 400 euros. Really? 400 euros? Dude, that's crazy. That's like $600 Canadian. Almost. I don't know, man. At that price, I would think long and hard about it. Interesting topics. We do have a lot of interesting things available. And Paul says a plec is the price of a lot of pickups. So which will a guy get more value from? Hard choice. Yeah, it's all a question of choices. But at the end of the day, if you have a guitar that already plays the way you want it and you don't feel like it would be worth it, then obviously buy some pickups, you know. But perhaps you have a guitar that has awesome pickups in it, but the neck needs a little love. You know what I mean? It's hard to say. It really is. There's so many choices out there. But I'm glad that there's choices because that's what keeps life interesting, I would say. You know, just like these custom pickups from Gibson. Do we really need them? Not really, but it's another option. You know, look at Fender. They're re-releasing this solid body design with the American Vintage 251 Telecaster. How different is that from a 52 reissue? At the end of the day, I wouldn't say it's extremely different. You know, but they're just, you know, they're redesigning stuff, they're changing it ever so slightly and charging a premium for it. So I have my 52 reissue. Would I be enticed to buy this one? I don't think so. Why? Because it's a 51 and not a 52. It's, well, first of all, it's not a real 51. And I think a lot of guitar players today are confusing reissue with vintage or original, right? So I don't know. I think I'm pretty happy with my 52 reissue. I don't think I would be enticed to buy the 51 Telecaster. I don't know, man. What do you guys think? Am I being cynical here? I'm just reading what they're saying about it, and it says, I'm going to quote here word for word. It says, when Fender released the first vintage reissue line of instruments some 40 years ago, the 52 Telecaster proved an immediate success. I like the 52, although I didn't like the pickups on it. I like the guitar and the way the neck feels and everything. Now, he says, they say signaling a return to form, the model remains a staple of the firm's electric guitar line for many years and has since become a classic on its own right, with the original examples now fetching up to $5,000 on the vintage market. So they're saying that the vintage 52s are fetching only 5,000. I would have thought that would be a lot more than that. So now they came out with their acclaimed vintage range, and it's slightly better, according to them. I'm not really sure if it's slightly better, but they're saying it is. With this slightly modified guitar. What's different on it? That's the big question. Um, I'm not sure they're changing much on this thing, from what I can see here. It says here, first of all, they're asking $2,249 US for the California Made American Vintage 2, which I feel is even more expensive than the 52 reissue that I purchased when I purchased it. Maybe the 52 reissues now are a lot more expensive. But what are they changing? So they're saying that it's a girthy U-shaped neck. So you're having a bulkier U-shaped neck on it, a 7.25 inch radius, which is basically similar to what you're getting on the 52 reissue vintage tall frets. A triple brass saddle, which is what you're getting on the 52. Single line deluxe tuners, okay. And pure vintage 51 Telecaster pickups. So maybe the pickups are slightly better than the original ones in the 52 reissue, which I wasn't a big fan of. But if you have the 52 reissue, I don't think you need to buy this guitar. Because everything's similar except maybe a bulkier U-shaped neck. Some people don't like that. And the pickups. Overpriced for sure. I don't know why they're automatically starting new guitars at Fender over 2Gs. It's getting hard, guys. It's getting hard to justify. Yeah, so Eddie, I agree. A lot of people don't usually replace their Gibson pickups. It's true. Are they that good, or are people concerned with resell? I think it's. I don't think they're bad, but I have personally removed some some Gibson pickups from my guitars and replaced them. Now I know you guys are gonna say, yes, I know, Tony, but you replace all your pickups. Okay, I'm never gonna live it down. But I had burst buckers in one of my Gibsons. I didn't like them. I replaced them. I have 57 Classics in my 335, which I love, and I wouldn't replace those. So I'm not necessarily stuck on the Gibson stuff. If I don't think it sounds good, they're out. In terms of resale value, just keep the originals in a bag and you're good to go. If ever you decide to sell your guitar, just put the originals back in, you know. So, yeah, I don't know. BC Rich says people really do tend to like Gibson pickups. Most are pretty well thought out and they don't get the level of criticisms that QC efforts at Gibson get. They seem to do pickups at a higher level overall. Maybe because pickups are maybe easier to do. I'm not sure. But that's a good point. I'm not saying it doesn't sound good, Paul. I'm sure the 51 sounds pretty good. And I'm pretty sure it's due to the pickups. But I'm just saying, if you have a 52 reissue, do you really need a 51? Like, would I swap my 52 for a 51? Probably not. I already upgraded the pickups on my 52. And I like the way the neck feels. So, you know, potato, potato. Mississippi Blues, nice to see you, buddy. Evening all. Tony, do you have any experience on the Moore LX Mark II Looper switcher? No, unfortunately, I don't. I'm sorry. I've had I've had other loopers, but I have not played around with the Moore looper. Is there any question you wanted, anything specific you wanted to ask? Because if you have a specific question, ask away. Maybe somebody else that's here can answer that for you. No question is a bad question, guys. I think they're all good questions. Don't be shy, all right? All right. Did I skip any questions early on in the morning? In the morning. Oh, I'm just scrolling, guys, scrolling. Don't mind me. Talk amongst yourselves. So I had mentioned Dave Mustaine earlier. So I don't know if there's any fans here. I think Fat Philosopher was a fan. Uh, Take care, Fat Philosopher. Sweet dreams, my friend. Uh, Beyond Fat Philosopher, I don't know if there was any other Dave Mustaine fans here. But the reason I brought him up is because apparently he's switching to the neural quad core effects units, the DSP quad cortex, instead of going into his amps. So he's switching over to the other side, believe it or not. So it's interesting to me that somebody like a guitarist from Megadeth has gone full modeler on us. So I guess we're getting to the point now where in terms of shows and the convenience for stage acts and stuff, it's getting to the point where the modelers are the more convenient choice. And we're getting to the point where if these guys are opting to go the modeler route, perhaps they're getting to the point where they're sounding good, you know? So it's interesting. I wanted to bring that up because I'm still kind of switching back and forth, thinking about what would be the better option: full digital, analog, or both. Obviously, the answer is both, in my opinion. Get it all if you can, but at the same time, you got to you got to draw a line somewhere, right? Yeah, I agree. If something's too complicated, Mississippi Blues, keep it simple. I always go back to simplicity. At the end of the day, I don't need my life to be more complicated. I need it to be easier. And making things more complicated, especially if you're using it in a live scenario or a rehearsal scenario, it's going to get in the way. We've got a question here. Pia Chanansri, am I pronouncing that right? Chancery? I hope I'm pronouncing it right. The question says, hi, any idea between the PRS SE Zach Myers and the SE 2 for 5? Absolutely. So I have both the Zach Myers and the 2 for 5, both the SE models. I also have the Core Line 2 for 5, but I think we're talking SEs here. Both are awesome guitars. Now, I don't know what you want to know specifically, if there's anything that you want to know specifically about those two models. I love them both, honestly. The Zach Myers is a semi-hollow body configuration, which sounds killer. I put in a set of low output humbuckers in that. And honestly, it's really good. I really enjoy playing that guitar. They're very similar. The 245 and the Zach Myers are very similar in the sense that, same configuration. Is there one that I like more? No, I like them both, honestly. They're great, great guitars. So you can't go wrong with either one. The Zach Myers, being a semi-hollow, has a slightly different tone to it. So depending on what you're looking for, you might want to go that route. If you want to go straight ahead, single cut humbucker, then the 245 is a great option. The Tremonti is also another option that I would consider today. The new Tremontis are great compared to the ones I used to have. An older one which was heavy and honestly felt dull in terms of the sound. It felt like dead. It didn't resonate all that much. The new Tremontis are great. I'd get one. And the Tremontis have a different bridge on those guitars. So if you're looking at a bridge that has a tremolo, then the Tremonti is the way to go. If you want a fixed bridge, either the 245 or the Zach Myers is a great option. So hopefully I answered your question there. I'm not sure if I confused you even more. Randy says try the Axe Effect. What the heck? Randy, I've been on the waiting list for the new Axe Effect floor unit, the FM9. I've been on that list for almost a year. There's nothing coming out. So at this point, it's like, forget it. I don't want to wait anymore. So it's either going to be a Helix if I go that route, or, the Quad Cortex perhaps. I don't know. I'm glad I could help, Pia. Don't be afraid. Either one of those guitars is awesome. Paul says for a lifetime purchase, the Fender, any Telecaster will give you value for money. In 10 years, if sold, it will be like using it for free. That is a good point, and that is something that I've often brought up, and I don't know if people understand this, so I'll just I will just re-explain my thoughts on this. All right, guys, bear with me. I've often mentioned that if you buy a good guitar, and a lot of people are asking, should I go with a Squier? Should I go with a real Fender? When I say a real Fender, something made in the US or even Mexico, doesn't really matter. Or should I buy, an E-Art guitar or one of these guitars? The answer is pretty simple, guys. If you're going to make an investment and you're going to keep the guitar long term, buying a name brand like Fender, Gibson, Ibanez, well, I'm not even sure how much Ibanez holds its value, but Fender and Gibson definitely hold their value a lot more over time. I'm not going to say it's 100%, but it's more because they're sought after. You're making a better investment. Now, if you're buying a guitar like this to putz around with it like I do and use it as a modding platform, and you don't really intend to resell it, you're not going to get your money back with this kind of guitar. You know what I mean? You might be able to get close to what you paid for it, but if you start doing mods on it, you're not going to be able to recoup your money. So keep that in mind. And if you're keeping it long term, a brand name is always a better investment. And a brand name that you purchased secondhand early on, before they go up, is even better. Most of my guitars that I purchased have been secondhand purchases, and I'm super happy because I keep seeing the prices going up. So if today I sell my Gibson 335 or my 52 reissue Telecaster or one of my other guitars, I know that I didn't lose a penny because they're going to be selling for more than I bought them. Eddie, that's an excellent question. I don't know how Fractal's staying in business. I guess they're staying in business with their other models. I know that they're selling the Fractals outside of Canada and the US for whatever reason. So they're shipping to other parts of the world, but they're not shipping to Canada and to US. I don't know what's going on, but they totally missed the boat on the FM9. And honestly, even when it becomes available, I think it's going to be overshadowed by new stuff, and it's not going to be a big seller. So I'm leaning towards possibly not buying that unit anymore because honestly, I don't think it's going to be in demand. It's expensive, and at the end, if I decide to sell it, I don't think a lot of people will actually be looking for it anymore because of the long wait times. It's just basically the launch fizzled out and they missed the opportunity. So they would have to technically come up with an FM9 Plus or something like that to make it even better and more enticing, maybe at a lower price point. We'll see what they're going to do, but it's, I don't know, man. It's a shame because I was like ready. I was ready to buy. What's worse than having your money ready and saying, here, guys, take my wallet. Guys, hello? Money? And you can't get what you want. Anyways, just crazy. So Jeff says, my Les Paul was on its way to eBay with burst buckers in it, swapped them for thornbuckers. Now it's a keeper. Sold the burst buckers and got 80% of the cost of the thornbuckers. Exactly. A lot of people, when they don't think about swapping, like if you're going to swap pickups and you're going to sell those pickups, the older ones, you're basically getting 80% of the new pickups for free. Think about it. You know, and if you're buying the new pickups, say the Thornbuckers used somewhere, you're getting 100% of the upgrade for free. So I don't know why people are afraid to mod their stuff. Like, don't keep the stuff that you don't use, sell it. It basically finances the upgrade and you get the guitar you want. So Jeff, I'm happy to hear that the Thornbuckers were better than the burst buckers, because I'm not a big fan of the burst buckers. I was interested in trying the thornbuckers at one point, but I didn't. I thought they were still a little bit expensive because, you know, premium. Now I could probably end up picking a set of thornbuckers on eBay for a little bit less used, I'm thinking, if I'm patient. So who knows? Maybe I will eventually try them out. And Randy says, did you try a Headrush product? I want an MX5. I did. Yes, I did try a Headrush. I actually owned a Headrush for a while. And I ended up selling it. I'll tell you why, Randy. I ended up selling it because a lot of people were complaining about the unit flicking out on them. And with the big screen, I like the fact that it came with a big screen, but I always felt that that's the Achilles heel with a product that you're lugging around with you most of the time. I was constantly afraid I would crack that screen. So at the end of the day, I'm like, how long am I going to have this unit before it dies on me? So I ended up selling it. I got the unit in a trade, actually. So I didn't actually buy it straight out. I actually got it in a trade. I think I came out on top. I ended up selling the unit for what I paid. Pretty much, and ended up getting other stuff. But at the end, I thought it was a good unit. I don't know how much better the Line 6 unit will be, the Helix, so I'm curious about trying that out. And I want to basically gauge whether or not the Helix would be a good alternative to the FM9 or the Quad Cortex. That's why I mainly want to try it out. Does that make sense? Hope it does. I want to also give you a little inspiration. I want to give you an inspiration. So Davis Music is getting ready for band practice. See you all next week. Thanks, Tony. Thank you, Davis. Thank you very much. And Davis, before you leave, or I don't know if you're in a big rush, I want to give you a little bit of inspiration. There's something I came across I wanted to share with you guys. And this goes out to all musicians that are slowly giving up. I don't know if any of you guys are at that point where you maybe feel you missed a train. It's time to maybe think about doing other things and give up. Don't give up. Because just because someone is weighing you down, or you think you're not worthy of playing your instrument, or you feel like your self-esteem is dragging you down, don't give up. Do not give up. It's going to be hard, and it'll take some time, but with practice, dedication, you will be where you want to be. So at the end of the day, it will be worth it, and you will be better off for it. So I want to just put that out there, in case any of you are at that point. I want you to feel like, hey, we understand, we've been there. Don't give up. It's going to be worth it in the long run. For me, the gift of music is, I could not have asked for anything better in my life. I do not know what I would be doing without music in my life. And, I wouldn't give it up for anything. Till my dying day, it's going to be music. I know. It's just part of me. So I hope you guys take that with you and just think about that. Profile Production says, if you sell the guitars, you might want to put it back the way it was. So I would not sell the burst buckers. Yes, absolutely. that's something I mentioned early on you may have missed. If you have the intention of selling your guitars, it's always good to keep the original pickups in the guitar. Because a lot of people that buy the guitars expect it to come unaltered. So I usually will take the guitar pickups if I know I'm gonna sell the guitar. I'm gonna keep it, put it in a bag, a Ziploc bag, put it in the case, keep them there, and eventually, before you end up selling your instrument, put it back to stock. If I know the guitar is a keeper, I don't really care. I'll sell the pickups. I've done that before. So it all depends on your intention. Yeah, a little bit of words, a few words of wisdom, Cushman. Sometimes, people need to hear that, or we forget. I gotta say, Davis, there's a lot of people that I know. Well, a few people that I know that were really into music from an early age, and for whatever reason, let it go. But at the same time, I've also encouraged a lot of people to get into music, so I feel happy about that. I am an instigator. I don't think it is a little bit contagious. You know what I mean? If your love of music is strong and you get people around you that are already kind of leaning towards it, it's very contagious. And I have convinced a few friends to get back into it, and hopefully they're still into it. I don't know if it's a good thing, considering a lot of them ended up buying a lot of gear. But I'm glad that I could be of help in that regards. I think so too, Eddie. It's a question of love. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, if you love your instrument, you love playing music, even if you don't play well, even if you suck, who cares? If you're in a space in your head when you're playing guitar and everything feels good, you're in a happy place, it's a lot less expensive than therapy, in my opinion. And we need that stress relief in our life. We're not here just to work 24/7. We're here to have fun, and we're here to enjoy what we have and how we. And for me, being part of a band, being part of a great group of musicians that have the same type of love for music as I do, is priceless. And I look forward to the rehearsals. I look forward to playing. You know, there's nothing better. Oh, I got pinged there. Let me just one little quick thing here. All right. So, guys, I really appreciate you guys sticking around for a full 2 hours today. It's awesome. I stuck around a little extra today. I felt good after my birthday, having this kind of chat with you on a Sunday. I can talk all day, but I know you guys are busy people. You have lives. You have things that you need to do. Many of you might need to go practice right now, and I don't want to stand in the way of that. But I appreciate you guys being on the same wavelength as me. I can see you guys are connecting. Matt says amen to that, Tony. You know, I appreciate that because I think there is a definite connection. Um, Jeff says, if you want to smile today about Don't Give Up, search for Peter Gabriel and Sinead O'Connor in Chile 1990. I'll definitely take a look at that. I'll definitely take a look. That's a great song, by the way. One of my favorite Peter Gabriel songs. The original was awesome. Peter Gabriel and Kate Bush. It gave me shivers, little chills, that song, originally. Beautiful, very heartfelt song. And Eddie says, I like when I step away, the guitar always calls me back. I feel the same way. Randy says, I'd like to try an Ampero 2. Great bang for the buck. I have an Ampero 2 right here on my desk. I could vouch for it. It sounds great. Great little unit. There's so much choice, guys. But the Ampero is great too. All right, guys. I think we're going to wrap it up. Wayne says, just took my phone in the shower. Never missed a thing. Wayne, as long as you don't turn on FaceTime, it's all good. I'm glad you guys enjoyed this week's Sunday Live show. Davis, I appreciate that. Thank you for everyone that participated. Thank you for everyone who sent super chats over. Thank you for listening to me and trying to talk me out or into getting that PRS amp. We'll have to see what happens there. And I'm happy that I could have provided some inspirational words and some gear advice to you guys. So thank you all for being there. Have a great Sunday. Please spread the word because we're going to be here again next Sunday. I'm going to keep an eye on those subscriptions and hopefully we hit the 26,000 mark. That would be a great plus to this great Sunday live chat. See you all next week. Come prepared with some questions. I'll be looking forward to it. And please participate in the videos that I put out there and the reviews because, you know, those need love and support as well in order for us to get all the views and hits that we need. All right. Thank you so much. Have an awesome, awesome weekend and a great week. See you all next week.